Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 8:14 on the East Coast and 5:14 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be here with you for the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. Want to pop this up on your screen as the 74th National Prayer Breakfast getting underway. You can see folks are gathered there. They are eating, getting that meal in before President Trump takes the stage sometime around 15 minutes from now. We're going to bring you his speech in full, commercial-free, as he speaks. He did the same thing last year, if you watched us here on Live Now from Fox. Now, normally we also hear from House Speaker Mike Johnson, at least we did last year, so we expect we're going to hear from him again. Now, as you can see, this live look at the 74th National Prayer Breakfast getting underway over there in Washington, D.C. Now, we are also following several different stories here related to the situation that's ongoing over in Minnesota, specifically in Minneapolis, as we're watching everything kind of unfold there. I want to pop this up on your screen. This is from the White House, as they say, Operation Metro Surge, thanks to the brave men and women of ICE. 4,000 or more criminal illegal aliens have been removed from Minnesota, including murderers, rapists, gang members, and terrorists. Again, that is a statement here from the White House. And all of this here as there is this discussion and battle over the future of DHS funding. We do have Doug Luzader with much more on that.
Democrats came out with their list of demands overnight to change the way that ICE operates, but Republicans may have some demands of their own.
Stay back over here.
No masks for ICE agents, no more roving patrols, and required body-worn cameras. Those among a laundry list of demands from Democrats now in the funding fight for the Department of Homeland Security.
These are just some of the common sense proposals that the American people clearly would like to see in terms of the dramatic changes that are needed at the Department of Homeland Security.
While ICE operations and protests continue in Minnesota, an olive branch from the Trump administration.
I have announced effective immediately, we will draw down 700 people effective today.
Border czar Tom Homan cited more cooperation from local officials. And while Democrats will press for more, Republicans are renewing a push for voter ID requirements.
Voter ID, I think, is absolutely critical. We have photo voter ID in Missouri. We should have that in every state.
Democrats vow to fight voter ID, part of what's called the SAVE Act.
The SAVE Act is an abomination. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country. We are going to do everything we can to stop it.
But voter ID requirements are broadly popular. Our poll shows 84% of voters support them.
I think this is something that the White House would prefer to be talking about because, to your point earlier, this is an 80-20 issue, and this is an issue where Republicans and the president feels like he is on very solid ground, and the polling data does show that.
Now, both sides remain pretty far apart on this, with the Homeland Security funding deadline now just over a week away. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Doug, thank you so much. And of course, you're looking at some of the video coming in from the past several weeks in Minneapolis. And as he said, President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, says that 700 of the federal immigration officers in the Minneapolis area would leave immediately. And as the operation in the Twin Cities continues, another 2,000 are expected to remain. Homan began to oversee that operation last week following the shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy by federal officers last month. Addressing reporters just yesterday, Homan explained that the operation has been successful and they have made great progress, adding that he will not leave until the mission is complete. Right now, I want to discuss this just a bit in further here, so let's bring in John Torres, who was the previous acting director of ICE and is now the president of Security and Technology Consulting at Guidepost Solutions. John, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Always good to be here, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And first off, I want to start by asking you about the announcement there from Tom Homan, the border czar, just yesterday, as he said these 700 federal agents of about 3,000 that are there on the ground in Minneapolis are leaving. So my question for you, does that signal anything to you that he made that announcement and that about a third of them are going away?
Yeah, that actually indicates to me that border czar Homan is satisfied, at least to this point, with the cooperation that he's getting from the state and local officials there on the ground. And more specifically, he's happier that they are getting access to the local and county jails. They've always had access to state prisons, but now with the county jails, the turnover is much quicker as opposed to a federal or state prison where people are released a few times a month. County jails, people are released within hours or sometimes overnight. And so to get access to them, that was more critical for these types of operations.
When you look at this as a whole, it's important to notice and to note that Border Czar Tom Homan took over that operation, arriving a little more than a week ago over in the Minneapolis area. It was last Monday. He got there and essentially met with the leaders, local, state. We're talking Governor Tim Walz as well as the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey. How have we seen kind of the situation on the ground there change over the week or so since Tom Homan took control?
Yeah, one, I would say that the lines of communication are more open. They are talking where it appeared before that the feds and the state and locals were far apart, not communicating with each other, which is very dangerous from my perspective, trying to run law enforcement operations. If you have one side not knowing what the other side is doing, it could lead to a lot of critical bad things happening. So one, they're talking more, which is always important. And two, I think with operations changing, you're seeing less of the spectacle on the ground. Tom Homan said that he was not there for press conferences and photo ops. He was there to make sure that the job was getting done on the ground. And so you're not seeing as much of the cameras out there following the agents on the ground as they're doing their operations, which also I think is a good thing because it helps settle down the situation on the ground.
Yeah, and it's important to note this video is some of the video that came in prior to Homan arriving, and things have kind of changed. We haven't seen that really escalation that we were seeing over the past week or so. Now, there have been these ongoing protests that have still taken place, and of course, last month, the fatal confrontations during the enforcement surge there in Minneapolis. From your perspective, how do those maybe public reactions affect the operations on the ground as a whole?
Two different ways. One, politically, from the administration, it takes away from their message of what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, for them to remove dangerous criminals, that's a very popular sentiment. It's almost an 80-20 issue, with over 80% of the people agreeing that dangerous criminals that are foreign nationals should be removed from the country. But when you have those types of incidents taking place, it galvanizes the people on the ground against what ICE is doing and against ICE, actually. And so it makes it tougher for them to do their job because of the protests. And it basically inflames the situation on the ground. So ICE has to take more precautions and have more people protecting the agents that are trying to do that job.
Talking about the state and local leadership, of course, you mentioned that Homan appears to be having that direct communication. So you have state, local, and federal officials that are working together more so as one than we saw previously. So how pivotal is it that those organizations are operating as a whole?
I think it's extremely pivotal to have them working together on the ground, specifically if you're talking about trying to make the community safer. They're all saying they want public safety and they want the community to be safer. But in reality, if you're not working together, that is very difficult to achieve. And so one of the things that Border Czar Homan has been saying is that if he can send 2 agents to a jail to arrest the person, as opposed to 10 agents to someone's house to arrest that same person, where it's inherently more dangerous and unpredictable, then you don't have that spectacle out there on the streets anymore.
All right. John Torres, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. Anything we missed that you want to make sure we mention before I let you go?
Ultimately, the proof is going to be in the pudding with the numbers. And so if you see that ICE is still removing criminals, they'll release those numbers, and it'll be really how many people are being transferred in that custodial setting. And you'll see more numbers being drawn down from ICE.
All right. John Torres, acting director of ICE formerly. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks again, Josh.